Today is a good day to talk about the city of Birmingham in the UK, somewhere in the West Midlands. And a lot of people, if you're walking down the town centre, like here, you've got the churches, the plaza. It just looks really nice. It's really appealing. It just you get the sense that this city is well put together. I might move here. And people in the city are like, no, we've got too many people. Don't move here. And the reason for this, all right, so if you're wondering why, is because it is not a small city. I know a lot of people don't even think about the city of Birmingham, for the simple reason that you've got like neighbors like Manchester, and then you've got the daddy of them all, London, that just basically takes over all the attention of the UK. Wagamama there as you walk along. All right, that's restaurants, it used to be, Wagamama used to be very trendy a while back, but it just seems to have lost its luster, put it that way. Anyway, so the interesting thing about this city, as you walk around the center, is that it has a population of over 1 million people. So that is a lot of people. So it is the second largest city in the UK. So of course, obviously after London. So when you think about that, you think, a lot of people outside of the UK would even be wondering, I have never heard about Birmingham, but there is a place called Birmingham, Alabama. So I would take it like most of these places when people left Europe and decide to go and seek their fortunes in the far, what's it called, west of and the new land, and they discovered, this is really nice, and then they'll give the new location the same name of where they came from. So that's why you have Amsterdam, and then New York, all those places. Anyway, so the interesting thing about when you walk around here is that it's been regenerated, of course, because that's what you do in most major city. You have brands like Bus. I don't know if that's Hugo Boss. It looks like it. And you've got the restaurants and people just walking along, and then you've got the church in the background there. It's a really nice place to be in. But yes, the center isn't as big as people would have said. It is said that the strange thing about the center of Birmingham is that it's not big enough. And because it's not big enough, it tends to get crowded, and there are places where you don't want to go. I think this sort of boulevard, this large space here, it's really nice. And then you've got churro. I don't know if churros, by the way, if you're wondering what that is, churros are, it's a lot of, it's sort of like greasy sort of thing, fried thing, sort of. It's not dumpling, but something similar, fried stuff that you eat it's very popular in South and Central America, put it that way. Five Guys. All right. So the usual suspect, that's what you would expect at the center of a big city, of course. Yeah, and that's the way it is. But anyway, the issue about the center of Manchester for a big city like that is that it doesn't seem to have enough space to grow for more investments, and so you get into a situation where you have a lot of charity. People complain about that. Don't go to the center. It's just like obstruction of public walkway. But it is quite large enough for people to walk around. If you've been obstructed here, someone would have to basically block, I don't know how many meters, to prevent people from walking by. And people also complain about, aggressive charity collectors. They're called chuggers. And they're like, don't you want to support it? Don't you care about, some cause? And I think, what's his name? The British comedian who did The Office. I can't remember his name, Gervais. And he was like, there was a skit in one of his films where he said, most of these charity collectors are doing it because they're getting paid, and they don't really care for the kids. And here you have the bull. And so that's a shopping center. There's a history behind the bull. And but anyway, what I like about the the history of this place and how it's been regenerated and how people are actually interacting with the center. There is nothing worse than coming to a center of a city and seeing almost no one there because it's been badly designed. And I think, for example, the bull, by the way, if you're wondering what the bull ring, it dates back to the 16th century, apparently, when bull baiting was a common public spectacle. It was brutal, but it was just similar to what they did in the in Spain, you know, bull thing, and sometimes when the bull wins, of course, people show no mercy. And at the time, around the church, dogs were set upon the bulls, and you know they would run around. Anyway, all that, and then people would bet on the whole bull. So the bull you see in front of the shopping center is just a way to mark the history of the place. So yeah, you would think to when you compare that to today's standards, oh, people were barbaric at the time. How could they do that? But then when you look at what still happens today in Spain or in other areas, you're thinking, well, humans haven't evolved that much. It's just it's pathetic and sad at the same time, but it's just one of those things. Anyway, anytime I go to any type of city, or you know, I see a video of a city and you have pedestrian people being able to walk around, I think it's a good thing because it just makes the place a bit more lively, you know, people doing their own thing. Around the church, what I noticed was that the design, you've got seating areas, and the architecture is a bit more docile compared to the hostile architecture you see in other cities. And the reason why, I've been just paying attention to the scene here, I'm not seeing any type of hostile architecture. Well, it's not really friendly because I think they probably want people to keep moving instead of, and if you need to sit down, you need to go into a store or a shop to do something. A good thing I see here is that there's a lot of public rubbish bins, and that's good. But yeah, I don't see enough seating area. You've got bike stands, but I'm not seeing anything. Anyway, but I like the space. It gives our people enough space to walk around. But I would imagine that on a busy day, it can get packed. And especially for elderly people who can't really walk, it's going to be a bit of a pain if you don't have enough seating area for them. So that there you have that. But anyway, yeah. The other thing people have complained about about the town centre is that, hey, oh, the council spent a lot of money regenerating it, and then what about the other part of the city? You know, what about all these other things that needs to be done? And it was like, yeah, never mind. So people are saying that it's becoming a donut city where you have higher rate of poverty, homelessness, and food bank use. Basically, people are poorer, and so they're asking they would resort to more handout or help from the government instead of being able to, even if they have jobs. And I think that's probably one of the worst things that you see in major cities today, not only in Birmingham, that the more people are having jobs, more people have jobs, but it's just so hard to make ends meet, and that is not a good thing. Anyway, yeah, so this is it looks like a tram, yeah, bus lane tram. I think the way it's been done, it's done tastefully, but the problem is, like often, you don't have enough space to expand. And Birmingham, for example, has been facing a lot of issues with I wouldn't say homelessness per se, but what's that thing called, affordable housing. And yeah, so that is one problem that they've been having to deal with. And the reason for this is that once you start to regenerate, all the old homes are gone, and then you have the new ones coming in, a bit more modern, stylish, much more expensive. So you've got the tram here. Anyway, so, and that is not that is happening in a lot of places. And so Birmingham, being the second largest city population wise, it's facing the same thing. But the interesting thing about this, would you believe that this city of Birmingham, that over 100 languages are spoken? And others are saying, well, why is that so hard to believe? All you just need to go is to go into the center and you would experience it. And yeah, I'm not really surprised though that you would have multiple languages. You know, the whole story about, British Empire and all the people from all these other places coming in to, enjoy what the former colonizer has to offer. So all good. But so what you see is that it is said that about 40% of the population would belong to ethnic minority, which is quite big, I would say. And then you would have, it's not unusual for people to speak Punjabi, Urdu, Bengali, and Polish. Yeah. So that is another. But I don't know what's happening. It's just by wave. This just reminds me of something about big cities. In the 90s, I think during the Yugoslavian war, a lot of Yugoslav Serbs just turned up in France. And you were walking down the streets, and it was the same thing. At one particular time, it was like you in the UK, you hear a lot of people speaking Polish, and then depending on where you are, you hear people speaking French. And then it was Spanish. So it just tends to be by wave where you get a massive concentration of people, and then it fizzles out as the newer generation are born and they speak English as their first language and all that. So yeah, it's just fascinating how geography and how people just to move around. Top feelers. This is a second, just as we pass there into the Temple Row, this is a second sort of a food, it's not a food stand, a car that you see. And that is becoming a bit more trendy in cities now, where it's like a temporarily permanent thing. And another thing is that you've got this sort of Birmingham Eye, which is something that a lot of cities are now trying to integrate into their landscape, which, yeah, I don't know. It's a good thing, it's a tourist attraction, but unfortunately, after you've been on a few of these, it just no longer appeals to you. So if you've done the London Eye, and you're along the Thames and you see the landscape, it's beautiful. You come to Birmingham, you're like, yeah, I've done this, I'm not going to be bothered. But what I've seen here, when you walk around Birmingham and you look at the sculptures around the city, I think it's really good. They're very colorful, especially if you don't get a lot of sunshine. Adding a bit of color to the landscape is always a good thing. And so people walking along here, there are. When we talk about design, I know a lot of people talk about city designs and the problems facing cities, and how there is a guy sitting on a bench there along the park. So that's good, especially for elderly people where you have sitting arrangements. But when you see the benches now in parks, and they've got these bars in the middle, it basically means you're not allowed to sleep. You can't stretch and think, oh, this is comfortable. They make it just as comfortable enough for you to sit down, but not to lie down. And the reason for it is that if you have a major housing, not a major homeless issue, and you don't want people basically to start moving into the parks and then sleeping in the park. So that's why you have those. All right. Let's talk about other problems. Over the years in Birmingham, there has been issues about housing and like council housing, and it has basically gone down, even with the amount of regeneration that's happening in the center, and how a lot of the council houses, there are less council house now. It is said that only about, say, I don't know how many, 20% of the housing in Birmingham is are council houses now. So that is another thing that's happening, that only about, say, about 20% of the people population lives in council housing. And the reason that it used to be more, but when I think, was it in the 90s or early 2000 when the scheme came out that the right to buy, so you could buy whatever you could buy your existing council house. So they started to shed all those things, the load, and now affordable. It just basically, now you own the house, and then the prices will go up. You don't get any subsidies anymore. All that's good stuff. But anyway, it's just the way things work. Yeah. All right. So apart from that, there is the oh, by the way, talking about the progress here. You cannot talk about Birmingham without talking about the new train station. The British version of the TGV. That's supposed to come here, and apparently, it's just a fiasco. It was supposed to be one of those fancy things where, very similar to what you have in France, where you go from Calais to Paris, and then from Paris you could either you get to Lille, you go up north to Belgium and the Netherlands, or you go south to Paris, and then you can just take fast high-speed train and go all the way to Spain. And then a lot of people actually complained about the rail network in the UK, that it's old. Why can't we just have what's it called, high-speed rail? And one is actually scheduled to go, if it ever gets done and completed. It said it's going to be completed in 2033. And I'm like, 2033, that's a long time after. But there have been multiple delays, and the idea is that you would be able to do London to Birmingham in less than an hour. I don't know, about 40 minutes or so. And I think that's going to be a major breakthrough if that were to happen, because it means then that you could actually you could live in Birmingham and work in London. And that's just going to be absolutely a game changer. Almost similar to what happened in Paris once the TGV network were developed, that a lot of people just moved away from the Paris and moved out to the outskirts of the city, and they would just take that high-speed train, and in less than an hour they'll be in the center of Paris. It just worked well for them. They could save. They have a bigger house, for the children, especially during the pandemic. Those who made the move were really happy. But then it doesn't mean everything was perfect, but you just get the point. So Birmingham is going to get that. And the whole idea is that then they're going to have like viaduct tunnels linking the train stations to all the other parts of the city. It's going to be epic. And I think if they're able to pull that off and it works, it's going to have a major impact on the community. And also it means that it will be easier for investors to come and say, okay, we're not going to invest in London, we're going to go up north into the Midlands somewhere, but because we have a means of transportation, it just makes it great. Oh, this boulder is here preventing probably motorized vehicle from getting into the center. Yeah. All right. So I think if they were able to pull that off and bring that into the city of Birmingham, it's going to be great. So yeah, a lot of things are actually going to happen if that were to take place. You see the same effect in. I've seen people when. Things like faster travel, EasyJet became very popular, low-cost flying, and then this is really nice. All right, so the fountains here. All right, this is not like the famous fountain in Rome, but I think it's pretty. It's nice. And it's not overcrowded like the one in Rome, where at night you can't even, it's just like too crowded, too many people. But of course, comparing Rome to Birmingham is not fair, but you get the point. It is a nice plaza. I like the architecture, the space. It just gives you this feeling that, you are in a modern city with a history. And just for talking about the history, okay. All these boulders, red balls placed there, and the children just playing, and the mothers taking selfies. That's good. So, just you might not know. Apparently, uh, the oldest human artifact found in Birmingham is the Saltley Handex, dating back to 500 years ago. Okay, whatever that is. And then apparently the city has been around. They found artifacts of Anglo-Saxons and all these other interesting things in the city. So when you look at some of the buildings, you look at the history. It's got an interesting history behind it. But the most what's the word? I think the most interesting thing about this city, I would say, is that it is big, but not as popular as Manchester for whatever reason. And I would say, I would almost guess to say that the reason why it is not as popular as Manchester is because it doesn't have a famous football club. All right, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying they're rubbish at football. I'm just saying, they're not like the likes of Manchester City or Manchester United. They're not like Paris Saint-Germain or the big clubs, Madrid, Real Madrid or Barcelona. Probably that's why this city is not on the map, but it doesn't mean it looks the center looks really nice. I think they've done a really great job of just making it a really nice place to come and visit and walk around and spend some money you don't have and just to enjoy the city. And this is one of those things when people visit your city, if you're from Birmingham, at least you've got somewhere to take them. And it just looks different because it would be a bit sad where if everything is just an imitation of London, people are thinking, so why should I even bother coming here? But anyway, yeah. So you have the like what's it called, the bull ring, the bull, and oh, by the way, did you know that this Birmingham has given us some cool musical group? I did not know that UB40 was from here. Actually, I thought if you don't know UB40, the one red wine. Well, they were very popular in the 90s. All right, and then you've got Black Sabbath. He passed away recently. Duran apparently is also from Birmingham. So yeah, they've given us a few famous people, and then you've got Birmingham City Football Club. Yeah, but never mind. So yeah, it's got some cool things. I think Birmingham's got some cool thing going for it. Oh, I can remember in the 90s, we actually, with a group of friends from London, we rode all the way from London on our bike all the way to Birmingham. And why? Well, for just why not? Yes. Oh, it took us the whole day to ride. It was just like, some of us have already done the London-Brighton one, bike race, but it was a bike ride. It wasn't as interesting. I don't know. This water looks highly suspicious. I don't know if someone died on it, but that fountain is just a bit, you don't want to dip your hand into that. You don't know what it is. Anyway, so, and yeah, why not? You were younger then, so you do things young people do, and then the older you get, you think, oh, I'll lead a more sedentary lifestyle. I'll just watch the world go by. All right. Anyway, let's move on. The what's it called, Bull in the City, the reference to what we talked about, and all these little design. I think they did a great job of putting all that together and making sure people are it's spread around the city, but it's done tastefully, that it's not overwhelming, too imposing, because then it would look a bit cheap, a little tacky. But you have a few of those, and the children, it's a testimony to the history of the city, but also children are attracted to the colors, and then parents can say, okay, go and sit on the bull, we'll take a selfie, just to prove it's cheaper as well than going on the what's it called, Ferris wheel. All right. Now, let's talk about, we talked about the housing and some of the issues facing the city as a whole, but a lot of people in council housing said, well, the council isn't doing a good job because previously, when there were more council housing and then the right to buy. Now you have less, and they've regenerated quite a few parts of the city, and now you have less council housing. But they are seeing that disrepair is becoming an issue. You call the council, and they're like, "Yeah, we'll come and we'll get to it when we get to it." So people are complaining about that, and lack of affordable housing. It's not unique to Birmingham, by the way. It's just a bigger, big city issues where everyone is going to the city, and now more demand. And since after the war, there hasn't been any major, massive construction in the UK. So you have the regenerating area like they did at the in London, Elephant and Castle, or other parts, but nothing major where to say, okay, the movement behind a lot of the council housing and to lift people out of poverty. And once that's done, it just seems that the UK just forgot how to build anything, any type of infrastructure. And that, I think that's a shame, really, because if you look at the potential for it, it would be great. Another thing is that it's not as if the desire isn't there, but there is a strong NIMBY movement in the UK, and that's also what is affecting the H2. And why the cost is spiraling out of control, where now they have to dig a tunnel where they could have just built a bridge over or some areas, but then people were fighting the government and the builders, and it's just not great. Yeah, so when you have all those things, cost overrun becomes an issue, and then if you're building something simple that takes years to complete, by the time you've completed it, the problem you're trying to solve has evolved. And then you need to start all over again. So it doesn't make sense. But if they were able to do it after the war, it goes to show you that it's just a desire and a lot of... it's a different time, put it that way. I think that's a better way to put it. People talk about, rubbish lying around for too long and the council not picking up things, air pollution, all the usual suspect things you see in the city, and building projects and neighborhood tension, people trying to regenerate an area, and then locals are saying, don't regenerate it, just improve it for us. But the investors are like, no, we'll pay you to leave, and then we'll regenerate it, and then we'll make more money. We're not. This is not a charity. Get your facts together. Yeah. So the complaints from locals is just normal. People want a better living standards, but it's just not working. And with over 1 million population, it's not a good thing. And of course, now with the decline of council housing, it means only private investors are doing more with housing. And now you also have the problem of Airbnbs and all these other things in the major cities. So, Birmingham is just facing the reality of a big city. And that's it.